Alright, hello everyone, it's me Ethan, and in this video we are going to look at the Ashtanga jump through. I'll show you how to do it and then we can decide once and for all which is better, straight legs or crossed. So, in the Ashtanga method, we are confronted fairly early on with this dynamic movement of jumping through to sitting. The primary series in its entirety presents about 33 or 34-ish opportunities to work on this, and the full jump through is traditionally accepted in two forms, straight legs or crossed. My teacher Sharat says that students can use either one depending on what's comfortable, what's kind of accessible for the individual, and that strongly indicates that a sense of rhythm and flow or steadiness and ease should be placed ahead of doing either one of these techniques. So both are fine, and that's good to know, but there are some fundamental differences, so let's weigh up their pros and cons here. Before I do, you've probably noticed just from having a quick look around the Mysore room that there are other options aside from these two that are also acceptable in jumping through. For some students, simply stepping from point A to point B would be the most comfortable and efficient. Others might jump but touch the feet down on the way through as they gradually build strength to clear the floor. There are even ways to bridge the gap between those versions so students can progress while using their most controlled jump through. Considering all those modified forms, I think it's worth mentioning that I kind of almost feel like we should give a massive point to the cross-leg version right there just for making this movement so accessible. Jumping with straight legs seems to be so all or nothing, like either you can do it or you can't, whereas jumping with cross legs actually brings the practice to the level of the student and makes it much more comfortable while you learn to clear the floor. So for both options, we look to keep the hips low and jump forward rather than up to a half handstand. With straight legs, the feet lead the way. With cross legs, the knees go through first, then rotate the body and extend once the feet have cleared the floor. Both versions are with a rounded back, tailbone tucked and deep engagement in the core of the body to hold the spine firm. Exhale deeply, lift the head to see where you're going, jump and inhale as you float forward and come to a comfortable sitting position. Trying to do either one of these with a straight back and high hips will almost invariably end up with you dropping to the floor like a ripe avocado, and even if you can control the way down from your little handstand, that position isn't as deeply stabilizing. It kind of moves the work into your shoulders and lower back. Is it unsafe? Is it going to make you super stiff over time of practicing it that way? Maybe. Probably not, but it's just a different thing. It's not part of the sequence and it won't build strength in the way that the practice intends. So efficient movement to get the hips directly from here in downward facing dog to here at sitting is a factor in this movement, and especially if the position that you're jumping to is with both legs extended out in front like Paschimottanasana, straight legs could be a very smooth way to get there. I'd say straight legs kind of has the edge when it comes to efficiency, but not by much, especially if you are going to fold one leg to take the pose that you're moving towards. Anatomical balance is another area where straight legs might be seen as better. It's not uncommon for a student to get really proficient at jumping cross-legged, only to eventually switch legs to change the one that's in front and find that they're almost back at square one. However, it really does not seem to be the case that this compounds over time to form any real anatomical imbalance that presents elsewhere inside the practice or outside. It's more likely that the nervous system just kind of gets used to firing in a certain way, and then it feels unfamiliar when switching up the cross. If that's a concern, an optional but pretty simple solution would be to just alternate the cross. So jump one time with the right leg in front and then the next jump with the left leg in front. So I'm gonna perhaps controversially go ahead and give a point to the cross leg version as well for being anatomically balanced all the same. Carryover is the one that tips the scales. Let's take a closer look at the position that we jump towards before lowering to sitting. With straight legs, we move to a controlled L-sit position. The legs being extended brings weight forward, so your balance point is with the shoulders almost directly above the wrists. With crossed legs, more weight stays behind the shoulders, so the only way to find your balance point is to move the shoulders forward ahead of your wrists. The body is then held in a very compact ball that we can control and rotate to come to sitting. The body shape in your L-sit does not need to be super compact. It's similar, I suppose, to Utplutihi, but not to that many other positions in the sequence. It would take strength to hold the L-sit, sure, but there's no necessary stopping point there before coming all the way down to sitting. So while it can be really lovely and fluid and efficient, and some students will of course do it much more aesthetically or much more beautifully than me, it just doesn't carry over quite as effectively as cross legs. With the cross, this sort of elevated Lolasana position with the shoulders ahead of the wrists is seen so many times throughout the practice. It's seen in the jump back in Bakasana, after back bending from the knees in second series. Karandavasana is the same shape but with the elbows bent, of course. There are bent arm variations after Utkatasana and Pashasana. And what about Utplutihi? Maybe we gave that one to the L-sit, but what if you want to jump back after you finish your 10 breaths there? So ultimately, yes, steadiness, ease, the meditative experience, these are all much more important factors in this practice. And if jumping with straight legs allows more of that for you, then you're welcome to go ahead with that version. Students with flexible hamstrings, shorter legs, and a longer torso do have a tendency to find comfort in this option, but might need to integrate the cross-legged jump at some stage so that they can apply that strength to other areas of their practice. I tend to find that the only real reason for a proficient cross-legged jumper to switch is probably just for fun. There you have it. Both are good, but learning to control the jump with cross legs seems to translate better for other strength or arm balance postures in the sequence. Thank you so much for watching this video. New videos are on the way, so subscribe if you want to see them, and I will see you in the next one.